Okay, I am being told there are Wowhead changes. The return of Valor Points in 9.0.5, upgradable mythic gear. Blizzard, we've seen a lot of the feedback about the pros and cons of various sources of gear in the Shadowlands endgame. After a rewarding first few weeks, we know that many dungeon-focused players reached a point where the only relevant rewards from the system come from the Great Vault. While the Vault should represent a major goal and the source of the best rewards the endgame has to offer... Oh, you guys got an ad? Okay, I'll wait. Stop screaming. I'll wait. I'll wait. Relax. All right. All right, here we go. We want to find a way for the loot from your chest at the end of a challenging Mythic Keystone run to feel relevant without bringing back random upgrade systems such as Warforging. Yep, that was bad, which partially solved this problem in the past. No, it didn't. We also want to provide a more consistent reward for the effort for players who do not receive an item at all. The framework for a system that attempts to address this in the first update, let's see. Initially, I capped the item level 200, which players can raise to 207 by completing all 8 Shadowlands dungeons at a Mythic 5 or higher. This will award a new Keystone Explorer achievement, while the existing Keystone Conqueror achievement for all plus 10s and higher will increase the cap to an item level of 213, and then to item level 220 by completing Keystone Master achievement for all 15s in time. The currency used to upgrade Mythic Keystone gear is Valor, which is earned from completing Mythic Keystone dungeons. Or by doing Covenant callings with a weekly cap. Upgrade costs will vary by item slot and will be consistent across all eye levels. You fucking clowns. Okay, so we don't know exactly how much Valor is going to cost. So, okay, here's the only reason this is relevant for me. Are you going to make a... Are you going to be able, if you do all the 15s, to be able to make a 220 item on Mythic Tuesday? And there's no way we're going to know that until the PTR comes live, right? I mean, PvP is obviously still stronger, but it's like worse itemized gear. Like, you actually have way more variables with Mythic Plus. Like, you will find an item with really sick loot for you. But why a 220 cap? I think it's because they... Okay, well, we can talk about 220 cap for a second. But if you're asking why it doesn't go all the way to Mythic, because they don't want Mythic Plus to be... Because in the realm of PvE, whether you like this or not, Blizzard views raids as like the thing, and Mythic Plus is like a subsequent thing. They do not view them at the same level. And it's also spammable. And also what they don't want is they don't want alts getting the best PvE loot you can get just by doing like Valor Points with Mythic Plus. Like, they want you to get so you can trade it in raid. Like, they probably want you to get it from raid. Actually. Hey. All right, let's talk about Valor. So Valor has been a very hot, contentious topic within the community over the past 2 days. So while Twitter is normally an absolute hellhole with basically people finding a reason to complain about anything, and this is more along those lines, but you have two sides of complaining. You have people who think Mythic Plus deserves to have some access to higher level loot on its own. And you have a lot of people who are like, fuck Mythic Plus, like this is fine. And then you have people that are like, Mythic Plus shouldn't get anything. So we're going to talk about all that. It's going to be kind of an open conversation with chat. I'll give you my takes on it. Again, I'm just one person, so it's not too important what my takes are on it. I also barely do Mythic Plus expansion. I've done it a lot in the past. I've competed in multiple MDIs. Like, I get it. I've almost never done high keys on live, just because I don't find it very fun. But all right, so here's the deal. Point number one that is being made is, why does Mythic Plus only get 220 eye level when PvP can get 226 and 233? You're making the mistake of comparing Mythic Plus to PvP, and the base mistake you're making is you're thinking of the game as PvP, rating, and then Mythic Plus. When in reality, in its initial design, in its implementation, and how Blizzard designs it, is Mythic Plus is tertiary content of rating, and all of it falls under the PvE umbrella. So if you're making the argument that Mythic Plus should reward 226. I'm not saying it shouldn't reward 226 or whatever loot, by the way. Just hear me out. I'm saying if you're using PvP as an argument to that PvPers have like the conquest system allows, yeah, but that's because that's PvP. You're looking at it as Mythic Plus versus PvP, when in reality it's PvE versus PvP. If you're a Mythic Pluser and you're wondering where your 226 gear and your 223 weapon are, it's off of the first 8 bosses in the Mythic raid, and it's off of Denathrius. That's where your gear is, by the way. Now, if you want to talk about the fact that PvP, some ways to get, like in my opinion, PvPers that are getting 2100 and are getting Glad at 2700 or 2400 that are getting 233 weapons, sure. Arena's really fucking hard, by the way. If you get 2400 in Arena, especially early in the season, you should definitely get Mythic gear, by the way. That's right. It's kind of worse than PvE gear because it's such high verse for most classes. However, RBGs is a different story. If you're a Mythic Pluser making the argument, well, why can't Mythic Plus get 226 gear? Because RBGers can get 226 gear, and they're kind of the like redheaded stepchild of PvP, similar to what Mythic Plus is to PvE. You're right. RBG should not give that much gear. It should give, for sure, less gear than Arena with the same rating, but it doesn't. That's a very viable argument. There's nothing wrong with thinking that. I think RBGs being as easy as they are to get rating, because of the way the bracket is inflated, it is definitely you should not get that gear, because anytime in WoW, you, or in any RPG, when you do gear, or sorry, when you do gear, when you get gear, you want it to be a reward based on two things: the time you put in, and the skill level required / the challenge you had to overcome to get it. Okay, so the main argument with Mythic Plus is one thing. People are saying they should have access to 226 gear. There's two versions of that argument. There's Keystone Master should reward 226 gear through Valor. Bad argument. The good argument that I could get behind is a higher level of key could get behind. A higher level of key could get you 226 gear. I'm actually not opposed to that. 15s should not give you 226. 15s are a joke. 15s were completed easily before the Mythic Raid even released, when we were capped at basically 203 eye level. That shit is not hard. Okay? But there is a difference between Mythic Plus and rating. So my next point will be spamming 5-man content with a couple of your friends in general, especially at the 15 level, is not as difficult as coordinating 20 people through especially Shadowlands Mythic content in raids. It's different. You have to get 20 people together. It's a weekly lockout. It's not spammable, and it's actually probably harder than rating's been in a very long time. So if you want to know where your PvE gear is, it's in raids. Also, the currency that you're going to acquire for this Mythic Plus gear is able to be gotten by callings. This kind of goes back to how it was last expansion, right? Like, if you're farming boxes, right? Like, you could just get a random Titan Forged item out of a box. Everyone hated that, you know? This Valor thing is going to be farmed from a lot of different sources, that a lot of which are just like, you could just log in and do some stuff and get some gear. Like, I don't know. You have to keep in mind, I'm also, I obviously don't do a lot of Mythic Plus. I get that's your all's content, but here's my main take. I think Mythic Plus, if you're a pure Mythic Plus player, at some point by the end of the season, you should be able to acquire 226 gear at the least. And you do through your vault. But I think the argument is that people want that targeted PvP currency where you can, like, what Valor is, right? Where you can, like, target an item and upgrade it. Or I guess just buy it. I don't know how exactly it works. But I also reject the idea that anyone in this game can just do one form of content, and that's the only way they get gear. If one player thinks they should be able to get full gear in 2 months, like, by doing like relatively hard content, a better player who got Glad in PvP in the first week cleared Mythic Raid in the first 2 to 3 weeks, and also does high Mythic Plus keys, should be able to be geared way faster than that other person. I don't think... I just completely reject the argument that any one single like facet of this game, you can get all the gear at the same pace as if people who are doing multiple. If you challenge yourself and you're good at multiple aspects of the game, you should be rewarded for that. So that's my general take. So just in, and I'll answer questions in chat in a second, but in conclusion, I think the main thing missed in a lot of takes on Twitter and arguments right now, and keep in mind, when you read takes on Twitter, you have to understand one thing. People want to complain, man. If you ever want to take time, read Reddit and look at people's chat histories. A lot of the times, the people that are just complaining endlessly will often argue both sides of the same argument because they just want to fucking complain. WoW Twitter is an absolute hellhole. It's so bad, okay? So you have to realize that. Number 2, don't make the argument that Mythic Plus should equal PvP, because Mythic Plus is not its own standalone content. You can argue that it should be. A lot of people love Mythic Plus, okay? A lot of people play this game only for Mythic Plus, by the way, because it kind of gives them that vibe of closer to what a 10-man used to be, where you can do content with 5 of your friends instead of, you know, it's a lot easier to be close to 5 to 10 people than it is to 20 people, right? Like, that's fine. But it's tertiary content to raiding. It's not side content, but it's like, it's there to, like, help you in raid. And that gear in PvE is available to you. Regardless of what people think, it's not a different skill set. Like, Dungeons and Raids is PvE. There's different size pulls sometimes, and it's like it's a longer form thing. It's basically like a 30-minute boss fight kind of, but it's PvE, man. The best PvE players are the best at all of that content, right? Consistently. It's the same thing. So it's just about how you spend your time. So Mythic Plus players should be more rewarded for their time, and I'm looking to see how they should buff PV, how they should buff raiding loot, because raiding loot is also kind of bad at the moment. Like, yes, if you are one of the very best guilds and you have access to 226s and 220 or 233s in the first couple weeks because you're full clearing the raid faster than everyone else, yeah, that's a reward. But you get almost no gear, right? Like, when we killed Mythic Denathrius, our raiders were wearing mostly PvP gear, vault gear, and like 210s filling random slots for Mythic Plus. And when we killed Mythic Denathrius, they maybe had 2 pieces from the raid. Maybe 2. Right? So, I think the way loot in the game, I like the direction they're going. Keep in mind, it's not final. I think they might buff Valor to be more. I'm just trying to give my general take on both sides of it. Oh, and the other thing I forgot to mention is, yeah, like Mythic Plus, if they added something where Mythic Plus 20s or like 22s or something, they would have to add a new achievement in the game, because they don't actually, like, if you keep in mind, like, a lot of high key stuff is from Raider.io. It's not by Blizzard. Like, Blizzard doesn't incentivize that. Then I think it would be okay later in the season. Very, very hard keys allowing you to get higher level. In fact, I would say I'm a proponent of I wouldn't be against them making Mythic Plus its own standalone content, which it isn't right now. Make Mythic Plus give seasonal feats of strengths with titles and mounts and a leaderboard on Blizzard's website, and like go full on like, hell yeah, Mythic Plus is cool. I can tell you almost our whole guild would do that. Almost Echo's whole guild. Right now, the very, very best players in the world, almost none of them do high Mythic Plus on ladder because it's not very rewarding. And the very few people that I'm like really good friends with that do it all the time and usually get rank 1 in the ladder are almost exclusively doing it for stream content because there's nothing to do in farm, right? You would see so many of the better players choosing to play that side of PvE in their free time. But the reality is it's not that way right now. And Blizzard is giving you a loot system accordingly. So let's see here. We've deliberately used a very light touch with any hotfixes that might affect Covenant or Legendary balance, as we're very keenly aware of the resources players have invested in those systems. A patch, however, allows for ample notice to the community as a testing and a feedback loop that will help ensure that we don't unintentionally undermine your investment in the Covenant or Legendary items. In many cases, the changes coming in 9.0.5 are improvements to Legendaries and Covenants that have seen comparatively less use by other players. Very good. Our goal with these changes is to provide more gameplay options for crafting and utilizing Legendaries in specific situations. Very good. And to make sure that more players feel that the Covenant that suits their aesthetic, narrative, or other preferences, their characters also feels more viable for their preferred playstyle. Okay. Wait, you said Fleshcraft got buffed by 300%? So here's how they buff Fleshcraft, okay, apparently. Fleshcraft. Form a shield of flesh and bone over 3 seconds, so it's a 25% less cast time. That absorbs damage equal to 40% of your health for 2 minutes. Channeling near a corpse. While channeling, your damage taken is reduced by 30%. And a passive is moving near an enemy's corpse consumes their essence to reduce its cooldown by 1 second. Okay, that seems really fucking good, right? That seems insanely good. I mean, literally, a 40% shield in general is fucking... Dude, get fleshed on is right, dude. Flesh is back. Holy. All right, here's another one, guys. Spirit Shell. For 10 seconds, Penance, Power Word, Radiance, and Atonement create absorb shields for 80% of their value instead of healing. Good change, I think. Right? I don't think that's bad. Dude, okay, that's a good change. That's a good change. That's a good change because in most situations, it's still going to be the best thing to do, I think. And it's because absorbs are so much more valuable than actual throughput. And there are okay, here's the situation. Here is why Spirit Shell, this change needed to happen. Okay? There was never a time where you wouldn't play it. Where now, if a fight is purely throughput based, you might opt to not have the same, like you might not have Spirit Shell, but you'll just play the actual throughput talent where all of your ramp goes into actual healing. But there will still be fights where Spirit Shell is really, really good because the absorb is just so much better than the actual heal. Because and also before, you definitely, especially with Lust and with haste buffs, you definitely already overcapped your Spirit Shell on some people. So because of that, it's not going to be as big of a loss, especially as you get more gear. There's actually 2 ways Spirit Shell is going to work this expansion, and I don't know how it's going to work. If you guys could help me figure it out, I need to know. In the past, health, how much damage you've done and the health that you have scaled differently. For example, depending on the way our damage and healing scales versus our health in this expansion, Spirit Shell is going to become much, much stronger over the course of the expansion, or it's going to become less good simply because of how healing is scaling with health. Does anyone know in what direction that is going? Wait. Warrior Necrolord Covenant change. Brandish the Conqueror's Banner, granting 500 mastery and 30% increased movement speed to your 2 nearest allies and preventing movement speed being slowed below 100%. Last 15 seconds generates 4 rage per second. What's the cooldown on... Wait a second. Wait a second. The cooldown changed from 3-minute to a 2-minute cooldown. Dude, are warriors the new Shadow Priests? Wait, who is Mastery the best for in the entire game? Like, who does 2 things? Burst cooldowns and Mastery is insane. Boomkin? Oh my god, it's up for Convoke. Dude, it's up for every Convoke, every Wild Spirits. Wow, dude. That's insane. That's fucking insane. Man. I mean, it also gives it to you is like, I guess, to determine its viability in like a mythic raid. Like, you guys are all thinking like, oh, this is cool for parses. Like, I'm talking about like, this like might be good. You know? Is Mastery good for warrior? Because I think like the potential of this in a raid scenario is like fucking actually wild. That's a big number. That's like a lot of stats this expansion. So Condemn is Biss? Maybe. But my only point is that this is a cool new thing that you can do, that you can potentially like beat a damage check you wouldn't have beaten before. Like Condemn might be better overall, but this might be better in a burst window, right? Like it'll take some time to look at it probably. Like, I know Condemn is insane. Like imagining especially arms without condemn. Like they'd be really bad without it. But it's definitely an interesting thing. Oh wait, Prot Warrior. Yeah. Well, yeah. Bye, DPS Warrior. Dude, easy, dude. Just fucking buff Havoc, double Prot Warrior, and just... I mean, that's actually going to make Prot Warrior probably, like, really competitive with other tank single target now, just because of giving that to other people. Yeah, Flesh... Oh, also, yeah, also, just for Prot Warrior in general, being Necro as a tank now is going to be, like, really good, I think. Imagine just channeling a 3-second 30% damage reduction anyway on like a lot of mechanics. That's fine. It's a 40% absorb. That's probably better than every personal absorb in the game. It's pretty good. Here we go. This is the nightfae priest thing. Any direct attacks reduces damage taken by 15%, follows your powered shield. Benevolent Fairy increases the cooldown recovery rate by your major ability by 150% instead of 100%. Oh my god. Can someone do math? Okay, for sure, the Shadow Priest giving himself a 1-minute void form is really strong, but can someone tell me what the cooldown of Combust is if they use this on a Fire Mage? Like 30 seconds? Let's fucking go, dude. Hell yeah. Just Fire Mages, they're just gonna be like fucking machine guns, man. Anytime a class can be nightfae, that's good, because the nightfae ability is just so insane. No bad. Yeah, I know. Believe me, if I was a Shadow Priest, I wouldn't want to give it away. But that sounds pretty good. What do you think about the Spirit Shell nerf? I think it's required. I actually... I haven't thought about it a lot, but I want to say that this is like the best possible change they could have made. Because if you were going to make a change, in my opinion, what you would have wanted to do was you would have wanted to make it so you would pick Spirit Shell in an instance where having the pre-absorb is majorly valuable. But then you would also, on a fight where it's really throughput based, if you just purely needed throughput, you would not play Spirit Shell for the full value. But the thing is, though, I still feel like you're going to play Spirit Shell most of the time, even with this, because it's no overhealing. Before, you kind of capped your Spirit Shell on some people, and maybe that'll be less true now, but also if you're doing it with a ramp and your raid isn't topped, and any overhealing as an absorb would have been better. So I think at this point they should just fully embrace that Shadow Priest is a support class and give them more tools so they're... Dude. Okay. I have also gone with the meme that they should just make Shadow support class now, but try telling that to any Shadow Priest. They'll fucking rip your head off, man. They do not like that. Believe me, none of you guys, none of you, man, you hunters and mages, you guys would be complaining just as much if you had to give your true shot to another player because it happened to be better for them, or if you had to give your combust to someone else because critting your spells was better for some other class or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, it sucks. Also, Shadow Priest I kind of own right now. They do big damn. All Mage Covenant abilities buffed except for nightfae. Let's see. Transform into a powerful skeletal mage for 25 seconds. While in the form of a skeletal mage, your Frostbolt, Fireball, and Arcane Blast hit up to 2 enemies near your targets, and your spell damage is increased by 15%. Seems pretty good. I mean, I'm just reading. I'm not a sim guy. It's probably bad, but that sounds cool. You can turn into a little skelly. Oh, is it a 3-minute cooldown? That's dog shit. They didn't touch nightfae at all, but they also buffed Kyrian Mage. And they buffed They buffed Mirrors of Torment. New Necrolord DH ability. Your damage abilities have a chance to call forth a demon from the Theater of Pain for 25 seconds. Throw glaive deals lethal damage to the demon, which explodes on death, dealing 175% of attack power damage to all nearby enemies and healing you for 25% of your health. The explosion deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets. That sounds cool, but it'll probably not be good. And also, it looks like AoE, where like they just need single target, man. Actually, no, I mean, I guess it's gonna single target. Been like, dude, they need to do single target damage. Blizzard, if you're watching this, and I know you're not, just buff look at their single target breakdown, look at the abilities that only do single target, buff that shit by like 30%, and we're good. And it's a great class, not overpowered. Its single target's not very good right now. Yeah, dude, honestly, I can't get over how much better they buffed Fleshcraft. But I mean, it had to be though, right? Like, Fleshcraft was by far the worst Covenant ability. But, I mean, that buff is insane. Like, that buff is almost so good. Dude, that buff is so good. Dude, that it's great because it's not so OP to change to Necro. Okay, hear me out. You have a 20-man raid group, and you pick classes that are all somewhat decent for Necrolord, even if it's a small loss. And on raid bosses, you have something twice as powerful as Diva Aura on the entire raid for a raid mechanic multiple times on a mythic boss that also shields you for 40% of your HP. Do you know how strong that is? You could drop a healer easily with something like that. That is so insane. Like, it's so good that you might do something like that. Like, a perfect example. Perfect example, dude. Imagine if you're doing Sludge Fist and you're 5 healing it. I can guarantee you on progression, the entire raid having Fleshcraft for the first pillar, the third pillar, and the end of the fight would be enough to drop a healer on progression, easily making up for the difference of everyone losing their preferred Covenant to play Necrolord. Like, that's fucking insane. That's so good. 4 seconds of not casting, it's still pretty flaccid. What you would do, it's 3 seconds, by the way, and what you would do is you would channel it before the boss hit the pillar, having the 30% reduction as it hits, and then being out of the cast for the entire damage amp. But yeah. Okay, and also, you guys are thinking too much specifically on one thing. Think of it more as like a new fight, how you can have that work for... I can't get over... Dude, the two things that have my attention are these two, man. Fleshcraft and Conqueror's Banner. You can do... Okay, I honestly think they're going to nerf this number. I think that number is too high. Like, that number is way too high. It's too low. I mean, I guess the only argument that it wouldn't be too high... The only argument that it wouldn't be too high is that Arms Warriors and Fury Warriors might not play this. But dude, if tanks are already support classes, can you imagine a fucking tank giving 2 of your DPS? Like, that's going to make Prot Warriors effectively the highest damage tanks by far by just running this ability, while also being a generally fine class to tank on. This is from in-game PTR. 2-minute cooldown. Okay, so they've already nerfed it. Brandish or it was just linked wrong. Brandish the Conqueror's Banner, granting 400 mastery and 30% increased movement speed to 2 allies. Generates 6 rage per second. But they buffed the rage gain. I mean, it's still really good though. Like I said, the 500 mastery was never going live. I don't think you guys understand how many stats. That is an unbelievable amount of stats. I can't get over how good Fleshcraft is, dude. Dude. I think they literally did a worst to first. I think that in PvE is going to be the single best Covenant ability now. Oh my god, is that fucking good. It was like such an insane buff. They made it obviously infinitely better, but they also made it better to use by reducing the amount of time it takes to channel too. In PvP, Fleshcraft is already busted. Yeah, they'll probably have to nerf it there. But also, just gonna be real with you guys, if you watch my channel, I don't give a fuck about PvP. So I don't care about that at all. Yeah, it's a huge shield for tanks. Tanks are probably gonna be Necrolord by far, but that's fine because if this buff is anything close to how it is right now when the thing goes live, you will only ever have Prot Warriors, and you're gonna be Necro anyway, so it's fine. Kyrian already was like pretty average for Prot Warrior. Please don't make me switch now. I mean, you guys can play whatever you want. I'm just talking like world first stuff. There's no like I'm just telling you like right now, a guarantee. This is so good. You'd bring a Havoc DH instead of a Vengeance, and you'd play double Prot Warrior for this ability. Would you see Vengeance DH is running Necro? It depends on the proc rate. They buffed the Kyrian DK ability. Oh, please tell me they buffed it by making it better to use. Please, please. Nope. Still never play this. This is potentially the worst ability to use in the entire game, like Covenant ability. It's just, it feels so bad. Yeah, never play this. What do you think is going to happen with Afflux? 20% nerf to Malefic Rapture. Well, I will... Ooh. Let's check in Discord. Let's talk this over with my guild. How about that? I'm sure they know more than me. All right, Warlocks, lay it on me.
Destro owns.
What?
What?
What are you talking about? Affliction?
Yeah, what does that do to Affliction?
Ah, fuck that spec. I don't want to play that. Good riddance.
It's pretty bad.
Good riddance. Fuck that spec. Let me play Destro all day.
Let's go.
Yeah, that class is not going anywhere.